An esteemed leader in the Philippine energy sector, he actively shapes the nation's energy landscape through sound policies and strategic initiatives. He is committed to unlocking the country's full energy potential. Let us all welcome in person the Secretary of the Department of Energy, Rafael Popo Lotilla. What was it like coming back to a job that you have come from?
I was asked, it was difficult not to heed the invitation to serve the country. It's a bit different and a bit similar as well. Unang-una, ang mga planta noon ay maaari ang gobyerno sa National Power Corporation, which owned almost all the power plants and the transmission system. Gobyerno mismo ang may control sa mga assets na ito. So with the exceptions, of course, of Meralco, which was privately owned, and a few generation companies like First Gen at the time, assets were under government control. Importanteng desisyon na ginawa ng Kongreso ay magkaroon tayo ng privatization ng power assets, generation assets owned by the government. Naatasan tayo ng Kongreso at ng Presidente na isa pribado ang mga generation plants ng National Power Corporation. At naumpisahan natin ito ng 2004, generation plants ay na-reach ng 70% by 2009 or 2010. Pag-privatize naman ng transmission assets through a concessionaire was done in 2009. At we have seen, of course, the advantages also of the privatization. One of them being that it was no longer government that had to fund the construction of new power plants. At dahil dyan, yung budget ay hindi na galing sa gobyerno, ito ay galing sa pribadong sektor na. At pangalawa, nagkaroon din ng malaking pagtaas ng generation capacity since the time na nag-privatize. Sinasabi kong medyo malaking pagkaiba dahil nga ang gobyerno ay hindi na siyang may-ari ng mga assets na ito, at kung magkaroon ng pagplano na kailangan, hindi ang plano na gagawin natin ay hindi automatically sundin ng private sector, dahil nga yung private sector has to take on the risks. If something fails, so for example, sabihin natin, kailangan natin ng bagong planta at hindi dumating yung additional demand for that plant, then ang risk is with the private sector. Ngunit ang problema natin ng 2005 ay meron tayong overcapacity. Mas sobra ang ating supply kaysa sa demand. Napakataas ng ating presyo na binayaran dahil sa take or pay provisions ng mga kontrata, at hindi natin makonsumo lahat. Kailangan pa rin natin bayaran yung hindi natin kinonsumo dahil nga kailangan bayaran ang mga independent power producers. So kailangan natin ng balanse between demand and supply. Hindi na rin pwedeng mag-build na lang tayo ng additional capacity. So that's the situation now, and there is therefore a big difference in terms of how we coordinate with the private sector. Kaya kung may shortage ng power, ito ay signal para sa mga investor na pwede na silang magpatayo ng bagong planta dahil may shortage na. At ito ay nare-reflect sa ating spot market. Kung meron tayong yellow alerts, as we have experienced, then that means it's a signal na short yung particular supply natin sa power. Nagkaroon tayo ng brownouts or rolling brownouts in only very limited instances. Dahil nga, ang nangyayari, nagbibigay ng yellow warning alert or red warning alert yung National Grid Corporation of the Philippines. Ito ay signal na maghahanda ang lahat upang matugunan yung shortage.
Yes.
So kung may shortage, yung pinapaandar natin ay yung mga oil-based power plants like diesel plants, ang interruptible load program ng distribution utilities gaya ng Meralco, ng VECO ay pinapaandar. Ito ay yung mga may-ari ng mga large manufacturing plants or large companies na meron silang mga generators.
Yes.
Ito ay papaandarin nila. So tatanggalin nila yung kanilang connection sa planta from the grid at sila na ang magpapaandar ng
They will supply their own energy.
Right. So that's been a big help na yung high temperatures ay naapektuhan din ang makina, no? Ang turbines ng mga generation plants. Kaya marami sa kanila ay bumibigay na. Nagpapakita lamang marami pa rin improvements na kailangan natin, and we have to do that hand in hand with the private sector because it is they who will have to invest their money and take on the risks for in return for investing.
Secretary, thank you for breaking this down into terms that are understandable to us. Kasi syempre napaka-technical din ng jargon ng elektrisidad, ng mga spot market, and this and that. Pero marami pa po kaming nais tanungin sa inyo, kaya wag po kayong mawawala. Wag kayong aalis at magbabalik po ang In Person.
Access to electricity is a major factor in the learning or education process of our students. So for renewable energy, we still have a long way to go there.
Ang mga maiinit na balitang tumatak ngayong linggo sa mundo ng sports.
Isa siya sa pinakatanyag na scuba dive master ng bansa.
Ayon kay Arlene, madaming benepisyo ang pag-scuba dive.
Lahat tayo nasi-stress. May depression tayo. Pero pag nasa ilalim ka ng tubig, pag submerge mo, lahat ng mas stress mo sa sarili mo, problema mo nawawala yun.
Mga kinakaharap ng Team USA sa pagbalik ng basketball glory ng Estados Unidos.
The team, which was really a dream team and would win today, was the first dream team. All these superstars is already something, but they learned how to play as a team.
PTV Sports, ngayong Sabado, alas 4:30 ng hapon. Dito lang sa PTV.
Isa ring challenge yung makapaghatid tayo ng sustainable and reliable power supplies dun po sa mga liblib na lugar, mga probinsya na may mga geographical challenges.
One of the main elements of the President's program is to achieve 100% household level electrification by 2028. At dito tayo nagpo-focus dahil nga napakahalaga ang elektrisidad sa national development. Access to electricity is a major factor in the learning or education process of our student. Kung may elektrisidad, nakakapag-aral sila, nakakapag-tap ng other sources of education. Of course, the economic activities that access to power unleashes therefore improves not only incomes but also expenditures of every household. Karoon tayo ng hybrid between solar, let us say, and other renewable energy sources.
So it's a mix of energy sources.
Right. So hybrid siya. Hindi siya fully dependent
On one form of energy.
Especially expensive fossil fuels.
Yes.
So we're doing that as well with other what we call off-grid areas or missionary areas na hindi sila nakakonekta sa transmission lines to bring down the cost of power by introducing a hybrid system with more renewable energy accounting for the power supply of the community. The other program of government, which is to expand the reach of the grid. Ito ay sinusulong pa rin ng ating gobyerno. And the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines is very much a part of this effort. A number of projects that were delayed before. So the major one which he inaugurated last January was the Mindanao Visayas Interconnection Project. Almost 8 to 9 years na merong overcapacity sa Mindanao. More than at times 800 megawatts of potential capacity in Mindanao could not be used dahil nga sobra ang kanilang supply. Hindi natin maitulak ito sa Visayas at sa Luzon, yung extra capacity, kasi walang linya. Yung naging priority para sa Presidente na matapos ito at natapos din last January. And then recently, yung Visayas Interconnection Project sa Negros, Panay at Cebu ay natapos na rin. Kaya ito naman ay nagdadala ng excess power also from Mindanao, from Cebu to Negros, and then to Panay Island. At malaking tulong ito dahil nga nagkaroon din tayo ng power plant failures sa Panay. Yung isang major project which is on its way to be finished by NGCP by July is the Hermosa to San Jose line here in Bataan. And that will also unclog the transmission lines from the western part of Luzon to the main grid. Lahat tayo ay magkaroon ng adequate supply. So reliability, as you said, and security of supply is also important.
The President has talked about nuclear energy.
The President has made it clear, and that is also made clear in our updated Philippine Energy Plan, that we are going to make room for nuclear power in the power mix of the country. The President is focusing on a number of factors. One, of course, is his concern for safety.
Yes.
The other is the appropriateness of the nuclear technologies to our archipelagic
Our geographical
country.
layout.
Yes.
Right.
So energy diversification is important. And since right now our renewable energy, including hydro and geothermal and
Wind also.
well, solar and wind together can contribute only as much as 2 to 3% of our current supply.
Yes.
So that's why there is room to grow there. Right now, we're coming from a very low base in terms of indigenous renewable energy. Before, we were in the 40s. Up to 40% was indigenous. We have gone down to 22, 21% or even 19 at times.
Why po?
Yeah, because of the growing
Demand.
needs of our people was met more by the coal-fired power plants. And now we are also importing liquefied natural gas to supplement the Malampaya gas supply. So we need some kind of balance, right?
Yes.
First, our priority would be for energy security.
Yes.
It should be indigenous.
Yes.
So what are the indigenous sources of energy? Renewable energy, as well as when we expand our indigenous natural gas. So for renewable energy, we still have a long way to go. Therefore, for variable renewable energy, so it can help take care of our demand during the peak hours during the day when solar is also at its peak. But then it has to be stored
In
for the
batteries.
evenings, and battery is also expensive. So that's why the policy of the department, as encouraged by the president, is to make sure that our pump storage hydropower plants will be up and running. Right now, we have only one pump storage. It's a storage system that doesn't use a battery.
Yeah.
But then
We
we
only have
need
one
to build
lake.
more of
lakes.
these types to complement the variable renewable energy sources. But all of these, whether it is to expand the transmission system, to have new pump storage systems, or to put up new nuclear power plants, they will carry a cost.
Yeah.
No? And we cannot escape the fact that for a while, especially when we are starting with some of our programs on renewable energy, that there will be a cost impact. But that over time, then the cost is going to go down.
Ito yung anti-shock bill lending program. Ano po ba yan?
Yes, ito Angelique, ay nagkakaroon tayo ng coordination among the different agencies. So the Land Bank of the Philippines has been discussed this with the Energy Regulatory Commission, and is now working with our National Electrification Administration and the electric cooperatives, so that the ECs can avail of loans from the Land Bank of the Philippines that will stretch over a longer period of time the increase.
So they can spread it out, no?
Yes,
In a
over
longer-
several months, and not just in one blow. No? So that's one way of softening this. But the answer on the demand side, of course, is that we can all help to have more efficient use of energy by choosing the time during which we conduct or do activities that require more power. So
learn how to conserve.
yes, so
Energy.
dapat ito ay ma-internalize na natin bilang consumers, that at the end of the day, we all help ourselves by resorting to these efforts.
Yes, more conservative lifestyle in energy use. Okay, kanina medyo nabanggit niyo rin po yung WESM, ito pong wholesale electricity spot market.
So this time, ang ating wholesale electricity spot market ay isang merkado para sa wholesale, buying and selling of electricity. So yung generators at saka yung mga big consumers can register with the wholesale electricity spot market so they can buy from the generators. At ayon sa ating batas at regulasyon, lahat na elektrisidad sa Pilipinas ay i-dispatch ng ating market operator depending on the price at which the price they quote in the market. We are in so-called interesting times.
Yes, we are.
It's a time of transition.
Yes.
And as technology evolves, the alternatives also increase.
Yes.
And we should be open to them.
Sarap. Ka, creamy. Ka, ihinayan. Ka, muni.
It's fun goes to Kamuning. Kasama ang certified foodie na si Leslie Ordinario, kung saan hindi lamang nakakabusog sa pagkain, kundi pati sa history. It's fun.
Nay, hindi. Walang biro ha. Masarap po talaga lahat.
Dito lang sa PTV.
At nagbabalik pa rin po ang in-person at kasama natin ngayong gabi si DOE Secretary Rafael Popo Lotilla at Secretary, under whose jurisdiction is the maintenance of these power generation plants?
Well, I like to think again that this is a responsibility of everyone, right? So at every level, so we have generation plants, we have the transmission, we have the distribution lines.
Yes.
So kung distribution lines lamang, localized yung problem. For example, some of our electric cooperatives have 40-year-old lines, distribution lines, and they are not well maintained.
Yes.
So we still have near the Metro Manila area, adjacent, we still have areas which have 3 to 4 hour brownouts, and they complain about that. But basically, yung problema ay localized. So ang improvements nga ay, that's why we are hoping that the electric cooperatives or distribution utilities are going to be able to upgrade themselves, to adopt new corporate forms, for example, of doing business, in order to attract the necessary investments to upgrade their services.
Okay.
Now, in the case of the generation plants, of course, the Energy Regulatory Commission also has rules on the reliability of these plants, which are covered by the power supply agreements, that they have to make themselves available or power available for a certain period of time, and there are only allowable unscheduled outages, because there really can be unscheduled outages,
Yes, yes.
but they should be within the limits that are allowed them by the energy regulator. So we're looking at it both from the standpoint of what is the ideal time required for them to take a deep dive into their plants. Then on transmission and even in distribution, one of the causes sometimes is just the failure to prune the vegetation
around the posts.
Yes. So even just outside the DOE, you have trees there. So even just that helps in preventing power interruption. You've had kites, thunderstorms, bushfires.
Lightning.
Yeah, bushfires.
Yes.
Of
natural and man-made calamities.
Yes. So those are things, however, for which there are some technological solutions that can be employed
to prevent these.
To minimize, if not all, to prevent all of these things from happening.
Yes.
And we're talking of an entire chain, from generation, transmission, distribution, and down to the household.
Ano po yung nakita nyong good points ng EPIRA law, at ano rin po yung nakita nyong dapat pa nating ayusin sa EPIRA law?
So, isa sa mga positibo na nangyari sa EPIRA ay natanggal yung responsibilidad na gumastos para sa expansion ng power generation from government to private sector.
Yes.
And therefore, government assets could or government funds ay maaaring igastos sa ibang mga priority. Kung meron tayong private sector that is running the show, then it is important to make sure that there is competition, healthy competition among the players.
Meron ding mga ibang kumpanya na sila na po yung may generation plant sila, meron silang power plant, may IPP, no? Tapos sila rin po involved sa distribution, no? So parang hindi po ba some kind of like monopoly or pinagbabawal po ba yun ng EPIRA? O ng
sa EPIRA, Angelique, yung cross-ownership between transmission and all other aspects of the electricity sector is prohibited.
Okay.
So hindi pwedeng nasa transmission ka at meron kang generation plant or distribution utility. Dapat neutral ka. Pero yung between distribution and generation and between retail supplier of electricity and generation
Pwede.
walang under EPIRA, walang prohibition. Now, the other reform that we were hoping in EPIRA, but which did not take place, was the reform of the electric cooperatives. Because the different areas of the country have already attained different levels.
We are very sensitive to world market prices because we don't produce petroleum. Paano na to? May kaguluhan sa Ukraine, patuloy yung ng Russia doon. And do we get oil from Russia? And then there's the Middle East problem pa rin because of Israel and its neighbors. Paano po natin kaya mapapangalagaan at mapapanatili na yung pag-akyat ay manageable at hindi po nakaka-apekto ng lubusan sa ating mga mamamayan?
Ang merkado ay worldwide at interconnected. So kahit hindi tayo kumukuha ng oil from Russia, yung nangyayari sa Russia at Ukraine ay nakaka-apekto sa balanse ng supply ng oil all over the world. So since we import almost 100% of our oil needs, so that's why one of our approaches is to reduce that dependency on oil. Electrification, for example, of transport. The transport industry, 34% of our greenhouse gas emissions comes from transport.
Yes.
So, if we introduce electric vehicles, the electric vehicles will help reduce our dependence on oil imports. So that would be a big improvement in terms of our balance of payments as well. And then not only the greenhouse emissions, but the pollutions, the level of pollution that affects the health of the public in general is contributed largely also by the transport sector. Today, the President and the NEDA board decided that there will be zero tariffs for electric vehicles for the next 4 years, not only for four-wheeled vehicles, but also for two-wheeled and three-wheeled vehicles. The tariffs that will continue for the next 4 years, reviewable every year.
Okay.
We will revisit it because we want also to encourage our local EV manufacturing industry. But even before we reach that stage, we should be able to benefit from EV expansion.
Yes.
And in DOE, we are trying our best as well to the policies on charging stations to encourage
more charging stations.
Yes, at least there are tariffs that are set. what is the maximum tariff that you can charge for fast charging
Ayun,
stations,
vehicle. Okay.
for all of this.
Alright.
But this, of course, is still an evolving industry. The good news is that even at the rate that the electric vehicles are being rolled out, yung estimates is that its consumption of power relative to the power supply will not constitute more than 1%. It's 0.8%.
If people shift to electric cars.
Yes, yes. So it's so that's the positive news about this.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, what we are seeing is that we are in so-called interesting times.
Yes, we are.
It's a time of transition.
Yes.
And as technology evolves, the alternatives also increase.
Yes.
And we should be open to them. So even if we have come out with a Philippine Energy Plan from 2023 to 2050, which is more than 25 years. Nevertheless, it is a dynamic document. We have to adjust, we have to be nimble in relation to changes in technology, changes in the market, and changes also in the behavior of people.
Yes. How effective has the oil deregulation law been?
Well, Angelique, it's a good question to raise. There's variation in the prices, but the base price differ, but the increments, whether they're reduction or an increase, there's some uniformity. So we look forward to additional studies. But we are now coming to a point, I guess, that we have that we will see less and less dependence on fossil fuels. The mass transport system improves. Then more people will be using the mass transport system rather than individual vehicles.
Yes,
So that would be a huge help, I think, for everyone.
Okay, Secretary, we have one more topic, and this is about oil exploration. Mamaya po, pag-uusapan natin yan sa pagbabalik ng In-Person.
You see, on the whole, we are severely underexplored. The overall goal is to increase exploration.
Ako si Tresha Bersano mula sa Caloocan City at ang kwentong PTV ko ay nagsimula noong 2018 nung mapalad akong naging host ng Schoolmates, and since then sobrang naging makulay at exciting yung mga kwento at pati na rin mga lugar na napuntahan ko. Simula nang maging host ako sa Top Picks ng RSP, pati na rin ng laging handa ng DILG, at sobrang saya ko noon dahil sa dami ng awards, ng mga na-touch din natin ng mga buhay at syempre mga kwento rin ng mga taong natunghayan din natin sa iba't iba nating programa. At mula ngayon at hanggang ngayon pa rin naman ay patuloy tayong host ng Schoolmates. At masasabi ko nga na lagit-lagi para sa bayan ng PTV.
Okay, at nagbabalik po tayo sa huling bahagi po ng In-Person with Secretary Popo Lotilla ng Department of Energy. So Secretary, ano po ba ang plano natin sa West Philippine Sea? Pinag-uusapan yung mga oil exploration. Are there talks with maybe let's say China or other countries to do a joint exploration for oil and gas?
Well, in the case of oil exploration or gas exploration, Angelique, we are looking at the entire country. We are not focused only on one one area or particular areas in the country. So the overall goal is to increase exploration. You see, on the whole, we are severely underexplored country. So when we look at the areas in the Sulu Sea, for example, we have not fully explored those areas, and these are areas that have also a rich potential. The policy is precisely to encourage exploration in these frontier areas, and not only in the West Philippine Sea. So most recently, the department and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Regional Government have entered into an agreement for the joint award of oil and gas service contracts in areas which would fall under the jurisdiction of BARM.
Yeah.
So that's for us. That's a big closely with the BARM, and thankful for their cooperation there.
Okay.
And we're also, of course, looking at other areas. So an Israeli company is looking at the eastern side of the Upper Palawan. So that's one area which is also underexplored. And then, of course, our Philippine National Oil Company, the PNOC Exploration Corporation, holds a number of service contracts that it is also developing together with our private companies. So Malampaya as our only gas producing area right now, we had to make the decisions when the president came in to extend the service contract by 15 years after its expiration, because we want to ensure that we maximize the use of the Malampaya gas there until it is fully utilized, and that we are able to tap the near fields, areas within the same service contract area for the nation's use. In the meantime, that we are exploring other areas. Because exploration would take also a number of years.
Yes, and it's very costly. So, Secretary, ano po ang pangarap ninyo para sa energy sector sa Pilipinas?
Well, of course, we want to make sure that over the long term, we have a more secure, a reliable, and cleaner sources of energy that are affordable for our people. That's the vision that the president has set for us. That one, of course, is, as we have discussed, we have to have reliable and sufficient supply. And then the other is that it should be a cleaner source of energy. Maraming salamat sa ating mga taga-pagsunod.
Electricity and energy are paramount to a nation's progress, and Secretary Lotilla is committed to empower lives by bringing energy to every doorstep for a brighter Philippines. At yan ang tunay na mukha sa likod ng mga balita at mga isyong pinag-uusapan, matapang na humarap at nagpakilala. Ako po si Angelique Lazo at ito ang In Person.
Thank you very much, Angelique.